Now, Scotland Yard has drafted in officers from outside London to help to deal with climate change protests. More than 750 people have been arrested since the demonstrations began last Monday.
On one of the busiest days in the capital, the most central part of London remains at standstill.
Already, like I said, arrested you for potential criminal damage. Because obviously on my camera you can see that bending when you've been sitting on it.
Roads across the city lined with police vehicles as environmental campaigners protest for a sixth day.
For the police, for all the protesters here, for the government, for everybody, this is absolutely the right thing to do to get everybody to wake up and start taking the political and economic and development and personal responsibility and action to stop this climate destruction going any further.
At Oxford Circus, shoppers weaved past the protesters, some who chained themselves to a concrete block in the middle of the road.
We're chained to each other in the middle of this concrete block, and it's to stop the police from taking us off easily. We're trying to slow them down, really, make it last as long as possible. I'm here for the duration.
But after hours of being stuck to the ground with special machinery, protest removal police cut them out and took them away. There's over 1,000 police officers being deployed on the streets of London every day to contain these protests. But as the protests continue, the businesses here are losing out. They say they're losing out on tens of millions of pounds. And as the protests continue, their frustration mounts. The police say they have a plan in place which currently means they're removing people one by one. Speaking to Sky News, the Metropolitan Police Commissioner said they have a plan in place, but the last 6 days have been tough for her officers.
I've got one message for the protesters, and that is, please go to Marble Arch where you can protest lawfully, stop your unlawful protest, and if you don't want to go to Marble Arch, then go home.
Extinction Rebellion protesters want to be on the streets of London for at least another week, and their tactics of getting their message across puts the police and politicians under increasing pressure to find a way to end this widespread disruption. Inzamam Rashid, Sky News.
And Inzamam is with the protesters near Marble Arch. What's the latest there?
Welcome to Marble Arch. Yeah, this is where many of those protesters that we saw at Oxford Circus have just in the last few minutes arrived after marching from there. It's a bit of a party atmosphere here, Isabel. There's a band playing and you may see the array of tents, and that's because they've essentially set up a makeshift village here for the past week. This is where a lot of the protesters have been living after going to the likes of Oxford Circus, the likes of Waterloo Bridge. There are a number of people here, obviously, because it is Easter bank holiday as well, and many kind of regular people who would be out have turned up here. However, there is still a number of protesters in the area here, and that's because, as you heard from Cressida Dick, the Chief Commissioner there, she said to head to Marble Arch. That's where you essentially will be safe and you will not be arrested, because this is where the police would like them to be, to keep protesters all in one area. But we did see the footage of people leaving Oxford Circus. The last person was a heavily pregnant woman who was cut away after she chained herself down to the ground and was taken away by the police. But I just want to bring in very quickly Simon, who is a member for Extinction Rebellion. Simon, you just marched from Oxford Circus. How was it to have hold of that place for 6 days?
I think it was amazing that we held it for that long. I think it was the message of Oxford Circus was to tell the truth about climate breakdown and the 6th mass extinction that's currently underway. And I think that message has been heard, because now we're on Sky and I'm wearing a pink boat that says tell the truth.
You're back here in Marble Arch now. This is where essentially you won't be arrested by police for the next few days or so. You're happy to be here, or would you like to be back in those places causing the disruption you have been?
I'm here to support the people who are prepared to be arrested, and that was my purpose for being at Oxford Circus all this week. We had the opportunity to have a march of mourning. We sang a song from Shetland, a mourning song, to commemorate the species that we have lost over the last 40 years. And we will continue to see species go extinct.
How long are you expected to be here? Because essentially you will cause disruption at Marble Arch, no doubt, as your hat falls off.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's a self-organising group. It's based on how people feel as a group. I can't speak as an organiser. There are no organisers. We're a holacracy. We're based on holacratic principles. So we'll see. I think we were here to be as long as we can until the government speaks to us, until they start talking about our free demands, until they announce a climate emergency. But we're here, we'll see. It's also a regenerative organisation.
We're out of time there, Simon, but thank you so much. And obviously, Simon, as I mentioned, walking from Oxford Circus here to Marble Arch, where there probably is still hundreds of protesters living here now, probably for the next few days, Isabel.
OK, Inzamam, thanks very much indeed. Now, police have clashed with demonstrators in Paris